First Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Russell Westbrook is headed home. The Lakers pulling off the trade of all trades on draft night. Are the Lakers now title favorites? The Packers Westbrook from the Wizards. In return, Washington gets Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and the 22nd overall pick. Russ and Oscar Robinson, by the way, the only two players to average a 20-point triple-double in a season, if you're wondering what Russ brings to the table out there for the Lakers. Russ has done it 4 times, by the way. LeBron took to Instagram immediately, posting this pic of the new big three, the Brow, Brody, and the King. There it is. Broussard, what do you think? You like the Lakers trading for Russ?
Let me start by saying this. The Staples Center will be rocking on opening night.
Yeah.
Rocking. The talent at the top of the Lakers roster is incredible. And Russell Westbrook will take a physical toll off of LeBron and AD. Right? So they won't have to carry as much of the physical burden. And LeBron James, one of the smartest players we've ever seen, and maybe he can figure this out. So you got to give them a puncher's chance. All that said, though, no, I don't like this trade for Russell Westbrook. This is a chemistry experiment that makes the Brooklyn Nets look like a match made in heaven. It looks like they're the perfect Lego kit in Brooklyn compared to what they're going to have to do in L.A. Let me count the ways. Number one, Russ likes to play fast. LeBron likes to play slow and deliberate. And that even is in the half court for Russ wanting to play fast. Number two, both LeBron and Russ are ball dominant. And LeBron really only likes to hand over those playmaking duties or ball handling duties to someone he's confident in to make smart decisions. And Russ has never been accused of the guy that makes the best decisions with the basketball. Number three, their big three can't really shoot. Anthony Davis is 31% for his career, 30% for his career from three, shot 26% from three last year. Russell Westbrook is 30% from three for his career, 31% last year. LeBron is at 34%. He's the Steph Curry of the group, and he's a 34% three-point shooter. So, look, if you look at LeBron's teams with big threes, the third person has always had to step back and become a glorified role player. It was Chris Bosh in Miami. It was Kevin Love in Cleveland. The first two can eat, LeBron and Kyrie, LeBron and D-Wade. The third one steps back. Who's stepping back? It can't be Anthony Davis because they need him to play like an MVP candidate for them to have a chance to win the championship. It can't be Russell Westbrook. It cannot be Russell Westbrook because if Russ isn't Russ, what's the point of having him? You can't make Russ just, hey, calm down, play slow, relax, don't. He needs to be Russ. It's like Allen Iverson in Detroit or Memphis. If you're not going to let it be Allen Iverson, what's the point of having him? And LeBron is the one that sounds crazy, but he's the one that's built to step back. So here's the way I think the Lakers need to play. LeBron is the point guard, period. He's the full-time point guard. He needs to look at himself as the third scoring option. He obviously won't be the third best player, but the third scoring option. His role should be to make sure that AD and Russ eat. Feed them, get everybody going. LeBron will get his 20-plus points just by being out there. That's how good he is. So that he should look at, I'm the Magic Johnson of this team. That's the best chance, the best scenario I see for them to win. Obviously, they have to put shooting in those other two positions, and they got to go out and try to add those. So I don't like it, but I'll give them a puncher's chance, and I think they got to play LeBron at the point guard.
Well, you're talking about an experiment, and we try to compare this to the Nets last year, but I don't like what you just said as far as LeBron James being a point guard, because now we're going back to Houston when you got Russell Westbrook and James Harden together. James Harden, he needed the ball. Russell Westbrook needed the ball. So now we transition out of Houston. Now we get to Washington. And what do we see? What do we see in D.C.? We see Russell Westbrook go back to his old style, and he averaged a triple-double. This dude only knows one way. Now, we all love it. Some people... We love his approach. Now, not everybody loves his game. Everybody knows this dude's going to give max effort every single night. Right. But to get a triple-double, to get the best out of him, he needs to have the ball in his hands. So how are you now, Chris, going to say, all right, LeBron James, you be the point guard? What seems to me, yes, LeBron James is the guy that's going to make the concessions. LeBron James is the one that's going to sacrifice, similar to what James Harden did. But he needs to now go to the 2. Now, we saw LeBron James last year rely on this shot. But Westbrook got to be the point. Westbrook got to be the one that brings the ball up. Because, Chris, it's not A.D. Wilds, okay? A.D., this is a dude that should be in his prime right now. I don't know what happened last year, but A.D. got to be a guy that you can lean on, that could be that leader when you talk about on the offensive end. And even on the defensive side, the output over there. Westbrook, he only knows one way. But I want to transition really quickly to this side of the conversation, Wilds. All of this for 3 guys that only played 8 games, that flamed out of the playoffs, that have a bum ankle, a leaky hammy, and Twitter fingers, the Nets. Like, you guys are doing all this to go stop the Nets. This is a team that everybody wanted to talk bad on. This is a team that imploded in the playoffs. Like, why are y'all doing all this for the Nets? That's my question, Wilds.
Yeah, I know, Brandon, and the Nets had a great season. We had a great time, you and me, holding hands in Brooklyn as the parade went down Broadway. It was just awesome. That was great memories we had. So you're right, it's just all about the Nets, buddy. That was great times. We're probably running back next year. All right, Broussard, I want to dig in on what you said, because I've got 3 main questions for the Lakers. They involve sharing, shooting, and spacing. First up is sharing, and you touched on it. When we look at backcourt touches, Russ brought the ball up the most of anybody in the entire league. I think LeBron was about 15th, if we can show the full screen here. So look, Russ is number 1, LeBron's 13th. So someone's got to decide. You got to decide who's got the ball. I think LeBron is more flexible than Russ, and Russ should continue to bring the ball up. But that in itself is weird that LeBron is such a great playmaker. All of a sudden, he's ceding duties to Russ. The second one is shooting. The Lakers were the 10th worst three-point shooting team, and they got even worse. And the weird thing here is they were going after Buddy Hield. Right. Buddy is a 40% shooter, and once that didn't work out, it's like, all right, well, we can't get Buddy. Who should we get? Let's get Russ. And I like Russ, and I like his energy and his creation, but it just seems like, all right, let's totally change our game plan. And the third one is spacing. And shout out to Tom Haberstroh for sort of surfacing this clip, I think 2 years ago. This is when the Lakers played the Rockets. They're leaving Russ wide open. They're like, all right, Russ can't shoot. Let's just double Harden, make him give the ball up, and let Russ shoot up bricks. That's literally their plan. So they know how to defend teams that have Russ out there. Now they are that team. So now that Harden is going to be LeBron. The Lakers are going to have their own defensive plan against Russ used against him. So when LeBron's got the ball, they're going to collapse on LeBron, or they're going to collapse on AD and let Russ shoot you out. Now maybe Russ just drives to the basket where he's pretty effective, but he hasn't been able to do that a ton of times in Washington. So look, I like LeBron. I like his decision-making. I like Russ. And I like sort of like the idea of them together. But how it actually works, Broussard, I think there's more questions than answers here.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I haven't talked to a basketball person yet since this happened that thinks, oh, this is going to be great. They give it a puncher's chance because it's so much talent. But look, Brandon, let's talk about Russ or LeBron on the ball. Now, Russ, to me, Russ will be on the ball when LeBron is out. Right. And that'll be a big benefit. LeBron may not have to play as many minutes. We know the Lakers fall off when LeBron's on the bench. So that can be Russ's time. And then in transition, Russ can push it. So he will have ample opportunities to have the ball in his hands. But he can't. If you got LeBron James on the floor, why in the world would you make Russell Westbrook your primary decision maker? And now Russ is going to, when LeBron's on the ball, Russ is going to have to drive. You showed that clip, Wilds. We need Russ, don't settle for that three. We need you to, at the very least, push it in and take like a 15, 16-footer. He's a decent mid-range shooter, certainly better than three, or go all the way to the hoop or set up another drive and kick opportunity. Let me say this, because a lot of people have said, well, look at Miami. D-Wade couldn't shoot. LeBron wasn't a great shooter. They made it work. Let me say a few things about that. Number one, LeBron was better then, right? LeBron was in his absolute athletic prime at that time, and LeBron and D-Wade wreaked havoc on opponents defensively. LeBron and Russell Westbrook aren't going to do this with LeBron in his 19th season. So that's number one. Number two, the NBA wasn't, even though the three-point shot was important, it wasn't what it is today.
Right. It was different.
It was a different league,
That's true.
right? And so the three-point shooting wasn't as big. But even so, what did Miami do around their big three? They surrounded them with sharpshooters, Ray Allen, Shane Battier, Mike Miller, Mario Chalmers. There is no way, there's no way the Lakers are going to be able to go out and get that type of shooting around these three guys with the money they have left. So they're going to go get Ben McLemore, maybe, guys that are marginal, fringe, guys who can shoot. But this is an experiment that is incredibly volatile.
Yeah, and that's why I can't wait to have the discussion later in the show about who's going